It's officially bracket season, and Myron Medcalf is here to tell you who to pick in every game. I'm Victoria Arlen, and Myron, before we start, give me the best mascot in the field, and will it help that team advance? I'm a big mascot fan over here.
It's got to be the Providence Friar, who's just a
terrifying.
very intimidating, very terrifying mascot. Probably that one.
All right, starting off in the West, Gonzaga versus Georgia State. Who's your pick? And I'll let you take it from there, Myron.
I think Gonzaga is the best team in the field. Drew Timme, Chet Holmgren, best front court in America. Gonzaga advances there. And then Memphis, Boise State will be a good matchup. Memphis athletic team. Memphis advances. UConn, New Mexico State. New Mexico State's a great story. UConn's the better team. UConn advances in that game. Arkansas, Vermont. John Becker's done an incredible job at Vermont. I think Arkansas is a good SEC team. Arkansas advances. Alabama versus Rutgers or Notre Dame. That's going to be a fun game. But I think Alabama has a high ceiling. They beat Baylor. They beat Houston, Gonzaga, some other top teams in America. Alabama advances. Texas Tech, Montana State, another incredible matchup. But Texas Tech's defense will be too much for Montana State. Texas Tech advances in that game. Michigan State versus Davidson is going to be interesting. Michigan State is not the Michigan State team that you typically think of. They don't really have a catalyst there. I think Davidson pulls off the upset there and advances. And then Duke versus Csu Fullerton. Great for Csu Fullerton to be here, but Duke has 5 potential first-round picks in the NBA draft. Duke advances.
All right, let's get to the second round. Who's winning there?
The second round of the West, I would go Gonzaga over Memphis in a tight game.
Okay.
I think that'll be a good game, though. I would take UConn over Arkansas. I think UConn is just a battle-tested team, and I think they will advance in that matchup. And then from there, I would take Alabama and just that athleticism and that high ceiling over Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. And then Duke and just Paula Bencaro and the talent they have advances to play Alabama in the next round.
All right, on to the Sweet 16. Any shockers here, Myron?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think you're going to see Gonzaga advance because they're just the better team. I mean, I think they're one of the best teams in America. And I think, again, the talent pool at Duke will be too much for Alabama and really most teams that they face. Duke and Gonzaga both advance there.
Okay, so we got Gonzaga and Duke. Who moves on to the Final Four?
We saw them play already in November. Duke won. I think Gonzaga wins the rematch. I think they're a better team than they were when they lost that game against Duke.
All right, so we're going to go down to the East region or over wherever we are. Baylor, Norfolk State. Who you got, Myron?
Norfolk State's a good story. Baylor's a better team. Baylor advances there. And then I think North Carolina got a lot of confidence beating Duke in the regular season finale. North Carolina advances to play Baylor. Randy Bennett and St. Mary's. I think they're a really good team that will beat either Wyoming or Indiana, who comes out of that first 4 matchup. St. Mary's advances. UCLA, hoping Johnny Juzang is healthy. I think UCLA will advance either way over Akron. And then Texas, Virginia Tech's going to be great. Mike Young is an incredible coach. I think he coaches Virginia Tech to a win over Chris Beard and Texas. Purdue and Yale. Purdue is this team that has some defensive issues, but Jaden Ivey has a lot of Ja Morant to his game. Purdue's going to advance in that matchup. And this is where it starts to get more interesting. Murray State, San Francisco, Ja Morant's old team. Murray State advances over San Francisco. And then Kentucky just has too much for a team like a St. Peter's. Kentucky advances.
All right, second round. Who you got there?
Well, again, I think this is a more challenging region, but I think Baylor beats North Carolina in a close game. And I think healthy UCLA advances over St. Mary's to play Baylor. And then from there, I think Virginia Tech's a good team. I believe in Purdue and Jaden Ivey and Zach Edey and the talent they have. Purdue advances there. And then Kentucky beats in-state rival Murray State to advance on to the Sweet 16.
And speaking of the Sweet 16, who you got?
I think UCLA is just tough, and Baylor is a good team, but not as good as last year's team. UCLA gets the upset there. They advance in a win over Baylor. And then I think from there, Kentucky, Purdue is going to be an incredible matchup with NBA talent on the floor. But Kentucky, I think, is just too much for Purdue. Kentucky wins and advances.
All right. So we've got UCLA and Kentucky. Elite Eight. Who moves on to the Final Four?
Oscar Tshiebwe is going to win the Wooden Award. And I think Kentucky's the better team. I think Kentucky wins that game.
So now we're gonna move on to the South. We got Arizona versus the play-in winner. No upset here, right?
No. Arizona's going to advance. Tommy Lloyd's done a great job in year one. Then TCU, I think, beat Seton Hall. Jamie Dixon's done a great job down there. Houston should not be a 5 seed. They're better than that. Houston will advance, beat UAB. The great job that Kelvin Sampson's done there. I think Illinois is going to be Chattanooga. A lot of people are picking Chattanooga. I'm going with Illinois to find a way to win there. Michigan, I think, will beat Colorado State, even though they're the lower seed. I think these tests in the Big Ten will help them. Tennessee might be the best team, not named Gonzaga right now in the field. Tennessee advances over Longwood. And then I'm going to pick Loyola Chicago, Lucas Williamson, Sister Jean to beat Ohio State and advance there. And then Villanova beats Delaware to advance to the second round.
Who's moving forward in the second round, Myron? I hope it's Sister Jean.
This is where I think it gets more interesting. Arizona, I think, will advance over TCU. Tommy Lloyd, again, great job. I think Houston beats Illinois. Houston's a very, very tough team. And then I think from there, I think Tennessee beats Michigan. Again, Tennessee's a very, very good team. But then Loyola Chicago pulls off the upset over Villanova. Sister Jean is moving on to the Sweet 16.
Oh, okay. Well, Sweet 16. Is Sister Jean continuing on after the Sweet 16? Lord, I hope so.
It's possible, but I think Arizona beats Houston in the first matchup. That'll be a good game. And I think Loyola Chicago can keep up with Tennessee, but I think Tennessee is very, very good. Tennessee advances into the next round. Sister Jean, unfortunately.
Just breaking my heart over here. Breaking my heart. Okay. All right, we got the Elite Eight. We got Arizona, Tennessee, heartbroken Victoria over here. Who moves on to the Final Four?
Oh, man, I think Tennessee, again, I think if you take from the last month, who's been the best team in America, Tennessee's top 5 for sure. Arizona falls, I think, in an upset. Tennessee advances from here over Arizona. We
are going to get to the Midwest because it's going to take Kansas taking on the play-in winner. Who wins?
Kansas keeps it moving. Really, really good team. They'll advance. San Diego State, Creighton missing their point guard. Season-ending injury. San Diego State will advance there. It's a good team with Matt Bradley. Iowa, to me, has been a top 5 team in America over the last month. They'll beat Richmond. And then I think South Dakota State shocks the world. They beat Providence, the Big East winner. South Dakota State makes 44% of its threes. They advance. It's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Iowa State beats an LSU team that just lost their coach, Will Wade. They're going to advance. LSU's a mess. Wisconsin beats Colgate to advance to the next round. And then I think USC has been a solid team. They beat Miami. A lot of people are down on Auburn. Auburn still has Jabari Smith. Give me Auburn to advance to the next round.
Okay, so the Providence, the Friar the mascot will be eliminated at this point in time, which I'm not mad about.
Yes. It will spare us the nightmares.
It'll spare us more nightmares. All right, second round. Who's standing out to you?
I think Kansas is better than San Diego State. Kansas will advance there. Iowa, South Dakota State, to me, is going to be a real battle. But I think Iowa's one of the best teams in America right now. Iowa advances. Wisconsin beats Iowa State. Johnny Davis, incredible player, top 10 pick. They're going to advance from there. And then I think USC beats Auburn. Auburn's had its moments the last couple of weeks where they just haven't looked like a good team. USC advances there.
And the Sweet 16, who stays, who goes, who's going to have a great time?
Sorry to Jayhawks fans, Iowa advances. Iowa is just playing lights out basketball. They've been incredible.
Okay.
Keegan Murray's the best player that people haven't heard of, but they'll know his name very, very soon. And I think Wisconsin is just one of those gritty, tough teams that can wear you down. Wisconsin advances to the next round.
All right, we got the Elite Eight. Iowa and Wisconsin. Who moves on to the Final Four, Myron?
Well, the Midwest will be happy either way, right? But I think Iowa beats Wisconsin. Just the way that Iowa's playing right now, Iowa is on a roll. Iowa gets the win over the Badgers.
All right, now we're at the Final Four. We got Tennessee, Iowa, Gonzaga, Kentucky. Who is punching their ticket to the big game, Myron?
Gonzaga and Kentucky will be an incredible game in New Orleans. I'm glad I will be there. I think it'll be a tough game for both teams, but Gonzaga wins. Chet Holmgren, Drew Timme have big games. I think Gonzaga advances there. Tennessee, Iowa feels like one of those overtime thrillers. I'm going to give the edge to Tennessee in that one. I just think Tennessee has been incredible, and I think they're going to advance to the national championship.
Okay, so you've got Gonzaga, Tennessee. Who's winning, and what score are you predicting?
Well, finally, the haters can stop talking about Gonzaga because that's all they want to do is say Gonzaga hasn't won at all. That changes this year. Gonzaga beats Tennessee in the national championship game. I think it'll be a fun matchup, but give me Gonzaga 79, Tennessee 74. I think Gonzaga wins that game, wins their first national championship, and everybody can stop talking about what they haven't done.
That makes me feel better about my own bracket. Thank you, Myron.